Welcome back to Orange Nation. Our artist of the day, The Pretenders. I'll Stand By You. I didn't mean to come into Matt
this
Park
is a
with
great intro into Matt.
like the most emotional song. Matt, I'll stand by you.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. Nice talking to you, Matt.
Matt,
I'm trying to get you to stand somewhere else.
the question I have for you before we get into football talk, this came up in our chat. You know, how many interviews do you do for opposing radio stations, and what school would you say asks the most?
Syracuse by a mile.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it's known around the league because everybody knows you're going to get. The only market that I can think of that around the ACC that's similar to Syracuse is Louisville, because it's the only one that's about the same market size, same interest level with the fan base, same type of radio station structure, and only one team in town, that type of thing. The other markets like Raleigh and whatever, they don't really concern themselves with the opponent and that type of thing. So it's not even close. It's Syracuse, Louisville would be next in line, and then a huge drop off to everywhere else.
All right, Matt. Quick takeaway from the Colgate game for you.
You know, it felt like an out of body experience a little bit. People, even talk about the game since I have no recollection or very little about anything that happened after halftime. I mean, to me, the game was over in the first quarter. Everybody knew it. Going in that it could be like that, but you need it confirmed by what unfolds, and it unfolded that way pretty much right away. You could just tell there's no way this can be a fair fight today, and it wasn't. And so it's not that what happened after that was insignificant. It's just I don't have tremendous recall of it right now. I don't think we're going to be writing books about anything that happened in the second half of that game. So it's a matter of just sort of moving on. They dominated an FCS team. I think there was a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, from a coach's perspective, I think it's about what you want. You absolutely crushed them. You got bench players in there and got to see some exposure of them, and you got some very easy things to point to about how you can be better. Ball security and penalties being chief among those. So I think it was like an extended training camp practice, basically, and now you step it up a little bit in competition this week.
How much of the offense do you think we saw in that game? You know, was it stuff we're going to see all year, or do you think that was kind of a playing it close to the vest game?
Close to the vest. I think that's the way this staff is wired. I don't recall anything that was terribly exotic or tricky. Again, they're still trying to get people established and get their feet wet for the year and understand what type of personnel they have beyond the already known commodities. So I know that they have things just in some things that I was able to see on the practice field that they didn't show in that game, and there'd be no reason to. I mean, if they did trick it up a little bit against Colgate, I think that would justifiably warrant criticism, because why show that when you clearly don't need it against the team you're overmatching? So they'll continue to evolve with play calling in the offense and defense and that type of thing over the course of the year, but you certainly didn't see it in game one.
Matt, looking at the defense, it's a defense that lost three guys in a Michael Jones, a Deuce Chestnut, a Garrett Williams, three key guys to that defense. And yes, it'd be Colgate, but they did pitch a shutout. What have you seen in this short time under Rocky Long with this defense?
Yeah, we're going to have Coach Long on the show tonight, so we'll get a little more sense of what his point of view is. I think it's obviously an effective defense. It puts athletes on the field, sends them from different angles and that type of thing. I mean, the first player to me that demonstrated, hey, this is the varsity versus the JV, so to speak, was Leon Lowry, outside linebacker, getting to the quarterback and putting heat on that way. Now, in the next game, it might be somebody different. Maybe he bluffs and Justin Barron blitzes or what have you. So that's what's in the toolbox of the defense and of the defensive coordinator. I just thought they were sound. I mean, they should be better. They were better than the offensive line. They created a lot of problems. They got to the quarterback regularly. They got to punch regularly. Felt like it was going to be any second that they were going to block one there. So all of those things, to me, were on display last Saturday. This game is not going to be a layup, Western Michigan, but again, Syracuse should have better personnel, and we'll see if they execute it that way. When
you look on the offensive side of things, and I said, look, Quinn Allen kind of has not necessarily, more pressure on him, but when you look at, everyone focal point is on Oronde Gadsden, and I think LeQuinn has to be that guy to kind of take off that pressure. How do you see his role with this offense this year?
Well, he's got to be steady. The difference between he and Sean Tucker is I don't think Allen is going to be the only person in the game. I think they're going to go to a second and third back, whether it's Juwan Price, Ike Daniels, whoever, J.J. Branham, whoever kind of steps into that role. Other guys are going to get series here and there. Allen, I think, is a dangerous threat in that he can catch the ball out of the backfield and do damage that way. I think he's consistent in the run game. And, we're just scratching the surface of what he does because he, relatively speaking, hasn't played a ton. The ball game and this one and a smattering of other experience here and there. But I think he'll be a very steady part of what they do. Part of the idea of tempo is you have to run the simple plays well and be able to, on first down, consistently succeed on first down. So, if you did nothing more than pick up 4 yards every first down, you're on schedule and your whole playbook is open to you. And so that, to me, is a primary role of somebody like LeQuint or even these bubble screens and things like that they do that are an extension of the run game. It's get 4 or 5 yards on first down, and then let's see what we can do from tempo.
Matt, I sat down with him on Tuesday, and he told me, I said, who's someone you emulate your game after? And the first guy that he said was Marshawn Lynch, and that's not who I was thinking about, but then he said Barry Sanders, too, that he liked watching Barry Sanders. Staying over
nobody
on the offense.
Nobody ever says a middle-of-the-road player.
No Bam Fosters or Barry Fosters or Bam Morrises.
I remember, that's like with it's always a function of a Hall of Famer. A couple signing days ago, there was a player. Who do you model your game after? And he was like, I'm a combination of Cam Chancellor and Ray Lewis. It was like, okay, guy who just won the Super Bowl and a first-rate Hall of Fame. Okay, and this particular player basically never played here at Syracuse, so he probably was just a shade off those guys.
Just a little bit off. Looking at Garrett Schrader, and he talked about how he's kind of gained more trust with these wide receivers, and obviously you look at the stats and. He sets a career high with 4 passing touchdowns. Is that something we can expect this year out of this Syracuse offense with Garrett being able to spread the ball around?
I think so. I think that's the point. I think that they're trying to, the fundamental premise of the offense is to spread the field in width and make you defend 53 1/3 across the field, defend multiple players. Oronde is the go-to guy, certainly, but the other receivers bring different assets to the table. Alfred makes tough catches, is tall and can go up over people. Some other guys, DeMarcus Adams has the speed, they can really run. And so I think they're getting closer to having a comprehensive unit of receivers, and I think the more options there are there, the more guys are getting open. Garrett really knows ball. I think because of his background, he takes to the complexity of offense. So I don't think it's just as simple. I don't think he needs to be robotically told where to throw it and that type of thing. So I think the best offense is football and basketball. The open player gets the ball. And then, to a degree, the defense is dictating or you're taking what they're giving. And I think that's a very efficient way to play. We hadn't seen tempo in the last couple of years, really. Has not been a fundamental part of the offense, and certainly on Saturday it was. They ran close to 90 plays. So I think that Garrett really thrives in that environment.
LeQuint telling me he's the professor of the group, and I said that's what happens, LeQuint, when you're there for the Van Wilder experience in college that Garrett has right now. What do you see out of Western Michigan and threats they might pose? Last two times these two teams have played, Syracuse has scored 50 points, but Western Michigan has been able to put the ball in the end zone. Do you see that this week?
Yeah, I don't know how much I would take out of the previous games, although there is some holdover in the coaching staffs from the last one to this one. I don't know. I think, do I see Syracuse scoring points? I do. I don't know that it's going to be 50-something to 30-something like the other games have sort of been with Western Michigan, but I wouldn't rule it out. Western, I think, played pretty close to the vest in its own right in the first game. They've got two backs they hand the ball to quite a bit. Buckley there with 194 rushing yards, that I know you guys were talking about earlier. So that's certainly something that needs to be honored and dealt with and braced against. I think Syracuse will be well served to, cut down the big play potential of the opponent. Colgate had no big play potential. Does Western Michigan, and if they're not getting big chunk yardage, now you're making it difficult on them, and going 12 and 15 play drives and that type of thing. And I don't think that's probably going to suit Western in the long run.
Matt, I have proof that at least one person was listening to the broadcast on Saturday. So Kevin from Liverpool in our chat said there was one glaring thing missing from the broadcast. You never gave your answer to the chicken or duck fight question.
Oh yeah.
Would you rather fight the what is it? A chicken every time you get
chicken every day, chicken every time you get in your car,
or a kangaroo,
once a year.
Yeah.
I think the chicken. I mean, that's just annoying. Like I come from a family with a farm background, and I have cousins who have chicken walking around, and they're pretty harmless. They aren't like fighting chickens, but I would think. That would be very annoying, I think, to have even the Pavlovian response that every time you walk to your car, here comes feathers flying at you or something. But maybe you would just get used to deflecting it and you move on. I think a kangaroo, you don't really want to be messing around with an angry kangaroo.
Take a quick kick from a kangaroo.
Yeah, you might not get up.
Yeah, that could be quite a setback.
All right, well, we now have the answer. Thanks. Matt,
Yeah.
and that question actually came from one of the offensive linemen on Syracuse, Dino Babers, at his show, which will be tonight. And maybe you can hear another question like that out at Heritage Hill tonight. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys. See ya.
So that show 7 to 8 tonight, TK99 ESPN AM 1200. You get the hard hitting questions on Orange Nation.
I would take that quick. Swift kick from the kangaroo,
That
and
was
then you'd be done.
from a player to Dino Babers. That's where that question came from at the show on Thursday night. So,
what did he pick?
He said the chicken because he's like, I don't want to get hit by a kangaroo ever. It'll mess you up. All right, we'll take our final timeout. When we come back, Jordan will join us, and we'll vote on tomorrow's Artist of the Day. It is all right. So I don't know if you've been paying attention, Mario, but recently we've been discussing the greatest moments in Orange Nation history. We bring them in, like
I said one of them's mine, but that's neither here nor there. But
your Jim Boeheim incident, that is a good one. But tomorrow is probably the anniversary of one of the most infamous interviews ever, and do we put that artist amongst the immortals of Tupac, Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson, and Prince? We'll ask that question to Jordan next on ESPN Radio Syracuse, QSportsTalk.com, and ESPN Radio Utica Rome.